Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Zhiyun M20C. This is from Zhiyun, and this is their 20 watt RGB light. Now it will cost you $180 at the time of the recording of this video, and these of course are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always, because I bought this with my own money. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box. My own brutal and honest opinions as always. This is new to me. Okay, so inside the box, you're going to get the light itself. And now in this concoction here, you're going to get the barn doors, a grid, a diffusion, and it's going to come inside the case already. Then you'll get this very nice bag and a USB-C to USB-C adapter cord here, little wire here. We'll talk about this later. And that's it. Okay, so let's talk build quality here. Now, first off, you get the barn doors. They are made out of metal, and they work fairly well. They seem okay, except for the middle piece here is plastic, to let you know. Then you get the grid here, which again is pretty solid. And then you get the diffusion. Now the best way to take off this diffusion is not to try to pull it off, but just slide it off and down. So just kind of pull it. You want to kind of pull it this way and it comes right off. And everything else about the light feels pretty solid. It is all made of plastic, but the plastic does feel pretty good. You get cold shoes on both sides and on the top. And at the bottom you have a hot shoe and a 1/4-20 mounting point, which is fantastic. Now, let's take a look at the back here. You do get a little screen. I'm glad they give you a screen, whereas on the 40, there was no screen. And you do get a dial that pushes in on this side and a dial that pushes in on this side, and that is it. There's also a little locking mechanism that you can slide up here to remove the bracket, and then you can slide this whole thing out. Now, you cannot replace this battery. This is the battery. It looks like this is where you should be able to replace it, but unfortunately you cannot do that. There is a fan in here with lots of ventilation on the sides, here and here, and on the top. And again, your USB Type-C is on the top there. It's very easy to take this thing in and out. You just put it back in and close the gate, and it pretty much locks pretty instantaneously. So there you go. There you have it. Okay, so let's take a look at the menu section here. Now, first off, by holding this down, it'll tell you need a single press and a long press to turn it on. And it does have a very nice screen. And you're going to get your CCT and your power reading up top. You have your dim control, and this does go from 0 to 100. And yes, this does have a quick button, so you can go from 50 up to 100 down to 0. So it does have quick functions here. Moving down, this goes all the way up to 10,000K and all the way down to 2,500. And again, you have your 2,500. Then you have 32, 43, 55, 65, 700, 7,000, 8,000, and 9,000, and then 10,000 Kelvin. And then moving down, you do get a plus minus green magenta shift. This is fantastic. Keep that in mind because that's going to be important later. But it does go all the way up to 10 and down to minus 10. Pressing the button again, we go into the CCT mode. And of course, we have a full CCT mode here. You have full control of the dim. Now, what I like about this is you do get some presets. You get 360, you get a 120, which is green, and you get 240, which is blue, and then back up to red at 360. And again, you can control the saturation. And again, you get 0, 50%, and 100%. So there are some quick functions here. Pressing this again, we go into the RGB mode. So you do get full control of RGB, your reds, your greens, your blues, which is fantastic. And if we surf all the way down, you also get control of how bright it is. Super awesome. And again, we are getting the quick settings here, so which is pretty cool. Pressing the button in again, we get our special effects, and we get SOS. We get paparazzi, we get candle, we get bad bulb, we get TV, we get lightning, we get strobe, we get CCT loop, CCT flash, CCT pulse, we get police car, disco, fireworks, hue loop, hue flash, hue pulse, And that is it. And again, you get control of how bright it is, you get control of the speed, and you get this other control here as well. So, which is very cool. So you get a lot of controls with how this works, how fast it moves, all that fun stuff. So that is all included here. Pressing the button again, you get a music mode. So there you go, that's cool. And again, you get full control over everything, the speed, the hue. You can control up to 3 different hues, which is very cool. So I can go down here and maybe make this a different hue, and then click this twice and maybe make this slightly different. So it's just constantly flashing different stuff. Very cool, very useful for music videos. Pressing this again, you will go into the menu mode. Now, I really wouldn't have language up top because it is very easy to accidentally switch the language, so be careful. But you do have a language, you have your Bluetooth reset, and you have your firmware. Now say you want to reset the Bluetooth, you just slide this over to yes and push it in, and it will reset the Bluetooth so you can use your cell phone app. And holding the button down will shut it off. Okay, so let's talk power and why the plus minus green is so important. Now, let's start off with 3200 Kelvin. Now, at 100% with no diffusion, I got 3149 Kelvin. And it was out by a 1.1 green correction gel. Now, when I bumped this up to a +5 magenta, I was right at 0.0. And I got a boost of 3,284 Kelvin. So not only does using the green magenta shift get you pretty spot on accurate color, except for one instance, but it does actually get the color temperature closer to what the setting is. So that was something I found across the board. Yeah, it was very interesting that the more color accurate you can get this, the more you can get a 0.0 correction gel, the better color accuracy, the more brightness you had on this light. The only time I couldn't get a 0.0 correction gel was with no ND filter at 50%. I was getting roughly a 0.1, which then the naked eye nobody can see, but I could not get it exactly to 0. Every other time I could get this to a 0 correction gel, and every time there was a brightness boost. So that is something to note. So if you have a light meter or a spectrometer, that's really going to help with this. So there you go. There you have it. Very, very impressed with the color accuracy and the fact that, yes, the plus green magenta shift does actually work on this light. Okay, so let's talk pros and cons here. Now, first off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is this USB-C to USB-C cable. Now, this thing does require to charge it a 100 to a 240 volt, I'll put it somewhere on the screen, plug to plug into the wall. I do not have one of those, and this does not come with a wall outlet. Now, you would think for $180 that would be included, but no, it's going to be an extra expense. And the problem is because you have a C to C. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really have a place to, I don't really have anything that will charge a C to C. So I had to adapt it with this USB-C to C to A adapter, and as a result, this took forever to charge. It took over 2 hours, almost probably 3 to 4 hours to charge. I left it overnight. I actually had to leave, but I know that after 2 hours, this thing had no battery life whatsoever. So unless you're going to purchase a separate plug, this is going to take a long time to charge. Next is the way that it charges. You have to make sure that you push this in and you'll hear a snap so that you know that this is charging. I did not have this snapped in, and it is also a little bit loose up top here too. But I did not hear the snap, and so this didn't charge for like an hour until I realized that I had to push it in. My main thing is I would highly suggest taking this out of the cage, which you can do, and plugging this in like so, and then plugging this into the wall. Again, it's a little bit of a loose connection, but it's going to make sure that you are connected and that you are charging. So that I just thought was a little odd place for the charger. I don't know why they didn't put the USB Type-C down here near the battery somewhere. just seems a little bit odd there. And again, you are going to have to spend extra money for a wall outlet if you want to charge this thing. Also, when I plugged this into my computer, it just popped up a window that allowed me to upgrade the firmware, but it was not charging the actual unit. So again, you are going to need to plug this into a wall. Now let's talk about the on-off button here. It is a little weird. You have to tap it and then hold it down to turn it on, which is a little bizarre. And a whole bunch of times I've tried to turn this on and it didn't go on. If you hold it down here, it'll turn off. A whole bunch of times I did that, and then it gave me this message, single press, then long press. I don't understand why they didn't just have you long press it to turn it on and long press it to turn it off. That seems pretty intuitive. I mean, if you're just picking this thing up and you'd be looking around for an on switch. So that is a little bit bizarre there. Now let's talk about the fan. Now, while the fan is not bad, if this is mounted on your camera or if you're going to mount a microphone onto one of these shoes, yes, you are definitely going to pick up the sound. Now, you could take like a Rode or a DJI and you could put it right here, put this on your camera, and then run a wire into your audio. You'll be fine there if you're wireless audioing. But if you're going straight microphone or straight camera sound, which you shouldn't do anyway, you're gonna hear the fan. But when this is off camera or you're like 2-3 feet away, not bad. I did not hear the fan a whole bunch, so very difficult to hear. Now, one thing I am a little disappointed in is if I don't want the cage and I want to make this a little bit lighter, then there is no mounting point on the actual light. So that is something that is missing from this. I wish they gave us like maybe a little 1/4 here or something at the bottom so that I could just mount this and I could just take this off. The other thing is that this battery is not replaceable. I mean, the battery seems like it's right here. It seems like I should be able to open this up or take this off and put in another battery. So in future models, that would be great if I could do a replacement battery. Now let's talk about the barn doors. They don't seem to do much. They basically are there to control spill. But they don't really cut the light in any useful way. In fact, when you have the diffusion and the grid on and you have this on, you can actually see the grid lines. So that is just something to note. I do like, that is just something to note. So there you go. There you have it. And the bag itself is pretty cheap. It's already come untied, so I'm going to have to figure out how to re-knot this. So there you go. Not the best case in the world. Now, from the cons to the pros, this thing is built very well, and for a 20-watt light is very powerful. I really like the magnetic system on the front here. To get this off, instead of pulling this off, you want to slide that off like that. But it really works very, very well. The diffusion works well. The grid cuts the light very well. Again, you heard what I said about the barn doors. I probably won't use them. It's just going to add extra weight. Moving on, I love the fact that you get 3 cold shoes and a hot shoe on the bottom, which feels pretty solid, which is pretty fantastic. And you can remove this from the cage, although I don't know why you would want to remove this from the cage as there are no mounting points. I guess maybe to set down like that and you don't need the cage. So not really sure why there's a cage on it and why it's removable, but there it is. And you do get some safety things here so you're not pushing in on the fan. And again, this is pretty solid. If you remember on the M40, you could just literally push the back in and scrape the fan. So they did reinforce this, which is great. Next, you do get a fantastic screen. Thank you. Again, on the M40s, there was no screen. You do get pretty decent control here. The navigation is really well done. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty intuitive for the most part, which is pretty fantastic. Again, I really like this little gate thing here. And the fan is pretty quiet, so there's a lot to like here. There you go. There you have it. Very impressed with this light. I will definitely be taking this to NAB with me and using this on the showroom floor. And I'm excited that they finally made something super bright and super small. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash the bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. And please join our brand new mailing list. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.